Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. We've got some news, though, today. We're not going to answer a question today. We've got two pieces of legal news you can use out of New York. And even if you are not interested in the laws of New York because you're not in New York or working in New York, that's okay. This might still be valuable to you because these laws often inform the laws of the rest of the country. Often in the current day and age, California and New York create laws, and then things don't go really well for them because they have like the first version of that law, and then the rest of the country adopts different versions of that law, kind of riffing on what California or New York did, and then, you know, they iterate and laws get better, and those laws then later work. And if they're smart, California or New York will revise what they did, right? Great example of that was New York coming out with some laws against confidentiality provisions in like sexual harassment cases. That law was entirely fake. That law had no teeth. That law was like, well, you can't have a confidentiality agreement unless the plaintiff really wants one. Okay, so that just amounted to employers being like, well, we would settle with you, but only if you really want a confidentiality agreement. What a protection! Oh, it's amazing. These people are geniuses. Fucking morons. It's important to remember that laws are written by people who have never worked in government or the law. They're written by interns from Ivy League universities. The geniuses. The elites of our country. Totally. Anyways, I digress. Let's go back to what we're talking about today. We have a new social media law in New York that went into effect on March 12th of 2024, which prohibits employers from requiring disclosure or access to their employees' social media accounts. We have a gentleman, Dan Palermo, who's an attorney in the Labor and Employment Practice Group of Harris Beach, out of the Rochester office, who says this law prohibits employers from requiring employees to disclose usernames, passwords, or other authenticating information for their personal social media accounts. Mr. Palermo goes on, if information posted on the employee's social media accounts is publicly available, though, that's fair game for employers to check up on. So, real quick here. 90% of this law, fake. Fake law. It's the real part of the law is they can't require you to self-report your social media accounts, and they can't require you to give login information for your social media accounts. That is real, that is meaningful, that matters. The rest of it's just nonsense. Let's read it again. If the information posted on an employee's social media accounts is publicly available, pause. All social media is publicly available. I don't care what you have your privacy settings set to. It's just different shades of publicly available. All of it is publicly available, and they will get it. They will review it. Trust me. There's no version of social media. There's no walled garden. There's no special mix of privacy settings on any social media platform that I am aware of that will protect you if someone really wants to look at your hot take on Eat the Rich or whatever it is, right? If you're selling bunkers to billionaires, that's your job. You're selling fully stocked apocalypse bunkers to billionaires, and you, on your private social media account, love to type, these effing billionaires, biggest... Yeah, your employer's going to find that. Because obviously you're writing it to someone. You're not just typing into the void. Or if you are, God, your heart... God, that's sad. I mean... Why? Why are you typing into the void? That hurts me to consider that you might be doing that. But realistically speaking, you're writing it for someone. There's at least 12 people who read your posts about Eat the Rich, right? And one of those 12 people is going to be your employer. Somehow, some way. They're going to find it. They're going to know. And they're going to be like, well, listen. There's like 1,000 people who are billionaires who could buy our billionaire bunkers. And you are really eagerly insulting all 1,000 of them. So we're going to fire you. You're going to be like, well, no, but I work in New York and there's a law. There's a law. My social media is not public. It's only for the 12 people. Just a different version of saying it's public. you're getting fired, right? So listen, this law is good. It's a good first step. I like the idea that employers can't be like, give us your social media accounts. I assure you, though, there's still going to be employees who have to turn over their social media accounts. Like, I understand this law is new effect, but there's other laws that are definitely going to be like tied to financial reporting and stuff like that where, listen, there's some clash. I'm not so sure this law is going to actually stand up to scrutiny, but I do like the 10% of it where it says that they can't demand your login credentials and they can't require you to self-report as to what your social media accounts are. Just remember, if your social media accounts can be linked to your human identity in any way, then they already have been. To anyone, or at least as far as anyone who cares to find out, they know. There's no question, right? There's no question. And there's a lot of people out there that just nobody cares about, right? Like, I'm not saying it's you, but there's definitely a time in my life where I had some thoughts. And nobody cared. That's a pretty comfortable way to have thoughts. At the time, you're like, I wish somebody cared. But in reality, those were dumb thoughts. Those were ill-considered. Those were hot takes. And I was a moron. And I got away with it because no one cared, right? The inattention of the universe is a gift in most respects. Couldn't do it now, though. I'll tell you right now. What I think now, I actually don't have any hot takes I think somebody would cancel me for, but if I did, I couldn't get away with it. All right, what do we have next? You might remember last year, New York State rolled out a statute. They didn't roll it out. New York State's legislature voted in a law limiting employers' rights to subject employees to non-compete agreements. And the governor of New York, Hochul, who is rabidly anti-labor, vetoed that law. Disappointing, to say the least. But the good news is, according to this article, which will still be linked down below in the doobie-doo, they're going to take another crack at it. The legislature is going to bring it around again. Now, they've watered it down a little bit to get the nod from the governor, from Hochul, who was, of course, the replacement for Nipple Rings Cuomo. Who was also not really all that labor-friendly, to my mind. But I digress. Hochul took power originally. She's now been voted in, but she took power originally because, of course, Cuomo had a bit of a sexual harassment spree over the course of his career. And it all caught up with him all at once. Anyways, they're going to try again, and I think that's great news. I think non-competes are problematic. The new version of this law is rumored to have exceptions for high-paid employees, which is a little bit silly because high-paid employees are really the ones who are often subject to non-compete agreements. So, how useful is the new law? We don't know. We haven't seen it yet. It's a lot of talk right now. I hope that the new law comes into effect. Listen, if it's like, oh, if you make less than $300,000, you can't be subject to non-compete, will I be happy? Be happier than I am right this moment in terms of the state of non-competes. I would be pleased to help, 90% of employees with it, with the new statute. Do I think that it's going to help most of the people subject to non-compete agreements? Maybe not. In all reality, maybe not. But listen, that's the lay of the land. That's the world. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, like, subscribe, comment down below, share our channel so it can grow. Take care.